Hey guys, thank you for joining me. How is everyone? Got a full house today. I'm excited.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Jen. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super thrilled to talk to you this morning. I know you hear from me constantly, so I get to annoy you for a little longer.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it.
Anyone think Maria, is it? Oh, Myra, excuse me. Oh, good. We have a couple more people coming in. All right, guys. So I see we have a lot of people joining. Let's give it one more minute so nobody misses anything. Daltrey. I know that name. Lou and Tina, where are you guys coming in from? I have family in New Jersey, Veltri. So that's why I ask.
We're actually in Brevard County. Our family's from Rochester, New York, and
There you
Ontario,
go.
Canada. Yep, and we have some family in New Jersey. And I met someone in the store the other day who had a cousin in New Jersey, and I said,
Yeah,
could be related. There's so many of
absolutely.
us.
You see, all us Italians.
I know, I know.
All right, everyone, let's get started. I don't want to take up too much of your time. And again, I am sick. So if I cough, again, apologies. We do have Jen Kurz joining us today. I'm super excited to discuss things with her. Give her a wave. I'm so excited that she joined us. So today, guys, I wanted to just talk to you about our buyers. I know that they're oftentimes kind of disregarded a lot because we go for listings as agents. That's what we want our bread and butter to be. However, we do deal with a lot of buyers. And now we're gearing up for the summer. And I thought it was a great time to talk to everyone. Summer's a large time for relocation, large time where families move about. They might enjoy maybe a month, May and June, and they're packing, and then they are really considering moving, especially if they have children. They're going to be moving, around the children's schedule for school. So I personally see an influx in my business in the summer, whereas a lot of agents, kind of go on vacation and take the summer off. I do not. I like to stay back and get all those clients that everyone else has disregarded. I'm here for them. So I love to do relocations during the summer, and I thought it'd be great to talk to you guys and bring Jen in, who is a mortgage officer at PRMG Mortgage, to talk to us about not only just like the regular steps, just to go through with you guys. I've got 10 simple steps we should, be talking to our buyers about the buying process, but also Jen can jump in and talk to us more about like the specificities of each thing that I'm going to touch upon. And then also I want to hear a little bit about some new changes that are coming about with the Hometown Hero program. I think if some of us haven't been paying attention to the news or reading our real estate articles and whatnot, we might not realize that there is a large change coming to that very soon that will affect your buyers, excuse me, come the summer. Because I do believe it's July 1st, correct, Jen? Is that right?
That's
Yeah.
correct. Mhm.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, guys. So 10 things I'm just going to run through real quick with you guys. These are my tips to discuss with your buyers. To begin, obviously, some of you that you've come on multiple weeks know that I come from the wedding industry. And
We can't hear you, Rosie.
oh, can you hear me? Can we hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, sorry, I have no idea. I got muted somehow. Sorry. So if you know me, you've been on here a couple of weeks, I come from the wedding industry, and I was a wedding photographer for 11 years. And oftentimes I'd have, I don't know, a couple times a year. It's uncommon, but a couple times a year, I'd have clients come into my office and they'd be like, "Well, we picked you. We're good to go." And I'd be like, "What do you mean you're good to go?" And I'm like, "What about a date? Like, you can't book me without a date. I don't know what date to be there for." And they're like, "Oh, well, we didn't even think of that." So don't assume that everyone that comes to you knows sort of the process of the situation that they're in. So us as professionals, and I would be like, "Well, hold on, you need a date first. You should look at location first, and I'm there guiding them on what's more important before they get to me. So when a buyer comes to me and they're like, well, we're ready to go. And I'm like, okay, let's double check. Are you really ready to go? Have you done these things before you found a realtor? And oftentimes they're like, oh no, we just came to a realtor. We just figured that's all we need to do. So as professionals, make sure that you align yourself with someone. I align myself with Jennyffer Kurz and PRMG Mortgage. She's my go-to. Make sure that you have someone that is your go-to right hand so that you can, if you need to, drop a client right on their lap and say, okay, you're not ready yet to come to me, but I'm going to put you in the position you need to be in this process. And that's mortgage first. So let your clients know, let your buyers know that are coming to you, they got a budget first. Have you budgeted? Have you spoken to a loan officer to see what you need to have saved for down payment? Understanding your credit is really important. Do you know where you lie in, in the credit scope of things? So if your credit scores 500, we have to speak to your mortgage loan officer about different things, about maybe getting that credit score up and getting you in a better position to buy so that your rate is lower and things like this. I'm very careful not to speak too much about numbers and things like that because I stay in my lane. I think that's another good important tip for us realtors. Have the professional on hand you can hand them off to. Do not try to speak numbers if you are not in finance. I don't like to do that at all. I say, well, I have a trusted professional that I would be more than happy to speak to you. Let's set up an appointment with her. So that's when I call Jen. Speak to them about the pre-approval process. Make sure they know that it is a process that they're going to have to go through and submit certain documents. Make sure you've got a list of the documents for them at the ready that you can just send them, via email if they're at work or via text. I urge you guys once again, I'm pretty sure I mentioned Canva every class. So once again, I'm going to mention Canva. Just go on Canva and there's really cute little templates that you can just use that you can textable templates. I know everybody is, their work schedules are nuts. I work with a lot of attorneys who are in, probate during the time they're in the middle of a case and they can't pick up the phone, or doctors. So, people's schedules are different. Don't assume they're always going to be able to pick up your call. Have the information you want to send them either ready to go on an email or ready to go via text. I always like to do that because then for me, I'll forget that, I didn't talk to that person because I know I made the call, but I didn't reach out to them. They didn't get the information they needed. So I always follow up with a text or an email. Make sure that they know about the additional costs that they're going to incur, such as closing costs and home inspection. Those are things that really blindside buyers, especially first-time home buyers. Or I like to work with the elderly in my area, and most of them haven't bought a home in 50 years. They forgot the process. So don't assume too, just because they have been a homeowner before, that they understand or remember the process. They be the professional. They look to you for that. And then understanding the contract. That's also super important. I like to read over the contract with my clients and say, I'm going to sit here and read this with you. You let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to answer any questions you have about everything on these pages. So let me open it up real quick and let's welcome Jen. Again, Jen, thank you for being here. I have a couple of questions for you specifically. What do you think right now? What are you seeing as like the typical needing to have as far as down payment is concerned? Like if we were to tell our buyers, roughly, what are you seeing people are coming in with?
Roughly, people are coming in with at least 28,000, more or less, because it's not just the down payment, it's the closing costs and also points. I will tell you, but with the interest rates going up, there's a lot of people, a lot of us lenders are facing that buyers are having to pay points to keep certain rates, to keep a monthly payment at a certain level. And points are basically a percentage of the total loan amount in order for them to keep a certain rate. So that's really what they have to pay. Sometimes it's 1%, sometimes it's 2%. I'm trying to speak in, we say, we say it in different, we say 100 bips and stuff like that, but in your words, it would be like 1% or 2%. We do have a max of how much a consumer can be charged for their loan as a whole, with fees and the fees to the rate as well. And typically it would be, I guess in concept of rates, we try to stay below that 3% margin. You'd be surprised, people sometimes want to pay for more, want to pay more for the rate. Now you have to, this is where we come in and we advise them, okay, you're going to spend $10,000 to reduce your monthly payment by only $50. In the long run, this is going to take you this long, that $10,000 is going to take you this long to recuperate. Does it
It's
even
like
make sense?
weighing it. Yeah.
Exactly. The average consumer stays in a property within 5 to 7 years. So why would you even put yourself in that position? Save your money, keep your money, do more to your house, increase the
Correct.
value there, and essentially, you determine whether or not that monthly payment is something you can keep, or maybe you're going to have to reduce your monthly payment through the purchase price, or maybe we can ask the seller to be able to bring that down. But to answer your questions, typically, every market is different. Miami's market's definitely increased in value. So in South Florida, Orlando, you're going to find that people are somewhere around that 28 on the lower spectrum, 25, 28 on the lower spectrum, unless they're using the Hometown Heroes program or other programs that are helping them with down payment
assistance. Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us? Thank you for that. Can you talk to us a little bit about credit scores? Because that's the most common question I'm asked, and I'm sure everyone else here gets that as well. Consumers are worried, they're not informed, they don't know. So let's just say, what's the absolute bare minimum any program you have right now accepts as far as credit?
I'm going to say 550, but money is king. So 550 will require a hefty down payment. Okay,
Gotcha.
Somewhere upwards of 15-20%. Depending on the portfolio of the person, you know what I mean? Because even though they have, so with credit score, we'll say 550, but there may be things you got to work on. You know what I mean? Some credit scores are that low because of balances or lack of paying. So then at the same time, it's not just credit score issue, it's also, now we need to give you 6 to 12 months to make on-time payments on something in order for us to determine whether or not we can move you forward. You also have the people that don't have that issue, that they just have a low credit score because they really just don't have any credit, a lot of credit lines, or maybe they had a couple medical collections that they weren't aware of that hit their credit, or maybe they did a bankruptcy. There's certain things that really hit your credit, but then we obviously have to evaluate the other factors to it, which is why it's so important to go through the pre-qualification process, because it's not just as simple as credit. What it is it's an opportunity, right? So if the person tells you, listen, my credit score is low, you'd be surprised. Most people will say their credit score is low and it's at 640 and they more than qualify.
Right.
Okay. Excuse me. So essentially it's finding out, what is your credit score? And then where are they getting this information? Are they getting it from Credit Karma? Are they getting it from MyFICO? Are they getting it from ScoreSense? Or are they getting it from Experian directly? And keep in mind, there are 3 different factors to credit. There is auto, there's credit cards, and there's mortgage. So just because you went and got a vehicle and your credit score was fantastic for a vehicle, it doesn't mean it's the same for mortgage. Okay, so it's so important that the person goes through this process.
Excuse me. Michael, sorry about that. Michael, could we mute everybody except for Jen and I? I'm getting a little feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So Jen, if we were to be, better equipped, what would you advise? What would you tell us to advise our clients to use? Not Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, MyFICO.
MyFICO is my favorite. MyFICO, granted, they do have to pay. They'll have to pay about $40 a month or $30 a month, somewhere around there. But MyFICO will give them the mortgage score. And if they click on the mortgage score, it'll give them all 3. So the goal is to get all 3 to at least get an idea of where you are on the mortgage aspect of things, because that's really what it boils down to. Yeah,
perfect. Beautiful. Okay, and lastly, Jen, I wanted to ask you about the Hometown Heroes program. Tell me if you could just run it through. Does anybody here, have they not heard about it? Have everybody heard about it? Probably. It's been around for a bit, right, Jen? Over a
Yeah.
year now? Yeah.
Yeah, over a year. The Hometown Heroes program has had another influx of funds. If I am correct, I believe it's 100 million that they put into this.
Wow.
So essentially, July 1st, not only did they get the influx of funds, which means we can continue to promote this, but also they've increased the limit. So they used to do 5% up to 25,000 towards closing costs and down payment. Now it's up to 35%. 35, I'm sorry, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, 35,000
35,000.
is what I meant. So, which is a big deal to most people. It could cover so much. Like,
Sure
you
is.
know, if you know, I'm gonna pull up my calculator, not on the screen so you guys can see, but just so mentally I can do some math here. On 500,000, you do 5% of 500,000. And then your closing costs are going to be right about another 20 grand, more or less. You're looking at 45,000, you know, essentially all you really have to come up with is the difference to that 5%. Okay. Which is, you know, 5% of that 500,000 is 25,000. All right. And if you have to come up with 45,000 total, you know, it's better to put 25,000 into a purchase than to put 45,000 to most people. And it's a big deal. And it's a large range. It's there's so many people listed on this, so many different fields.
And that
So,
brings
you
me to my
know,
next point. It was limited, correct?
which part?
It is limited as far as the professions are concerned. And then
Yes.
come July 1st, they are opening it.
That I need to confirm because I
Okay.
know it's specific to Hometown Heroes. They may be opening up certain
Other
positions.
branches.
Yeah,
Right.
but not open like to the public as a whole. It is
No.
specific.
But they are
Yeah.
opening it up a little bit more. Before it was like really specific. And even though I thought it was a large list, right? Because I've been looking at it for over a year, thought it was a large list. Then I'd have clients that I'm like, oh, you work in a hospital, but you're not on this list. So I'm really excited to them actually opening it up because now, you know, our nurses are covered, which is a big deal. I couldn't believe that our nurses weren't covered. Only BSNs, you know, there wasn't RNs in there and CPAs and things. So I'm really happy that certain people are now covered, whereas they weren't. Because I had a lot of question about that for over a year with a lot of clients who were in position that they were like, well, I thought I would qualify. So now's the time. So guys, you know, again, if you've got clients that last year didn't qualify or, you know, for some reason, their profession wasn't on the list, make sure you go back and take a look at it, look at the program once again, just to reevaluate it and be more familiar with it, because there are some changes coming about in the summer.
Yep. One thing I want to add is with that program specifically, the interest rate actually has no cost.
Oh, goodness.
And it's a lower interest rate, which means that their down payment is not only, the closing costs are not only going to be covered for the most part, but they're also going to be lower, which means it'll apply also to your down payment, or however. I mean, we look at it as a bulk, so it gets applied to whatever your balance is, but essentially your balance would be lower, you know, with a lower rate, which also means that you would potentially qualify for a little bit more.
Absolutely. I mean, this is such good information to have, especially, you know, I thought during this time, get a little refresher, see some new things that are happening on the program, and just to be better for our buyers, because don't forget about them. A lot of relocation.
And it's a very simple program. There's no additional inspections, you know.
What about a course or anything like that?
There is a course, but regardless, it's simple. I believe it's an 8-hour course. It's very easy for people to get through this. And in addition to that, there's it's 30-day closing. If you're, you know, easy buyer, what we call an easy buyer, W-2, okay, with not a lot of debt and a decent credit score, then you're good to go. The credit score is definitely a thing. I have to wait and see what the credit score requirements are going to be at that point, you know. Before it was 645.
Okay, perfect. Jen, before I let you go, you've been a wealth of knowledge today. Thank you so much. Just real quick, if you were to give us, I think a couple of us on here could benefit, if you could give us just a real quick snapshot of what our buyers would initially need to go talk to an MLO, to talk to you, what would you need from them to have ready for you?
Well, to give you understanding, we need to look at income, we need to look at assets, and we need to look at credit. So, in that alone, we need bank statements for the last 2 months because funds need to be seasoned for that time frame or sourced. Okay, we need the last 30 days pay stubs if they're W-2. If they're part-time, or receive overtime or bonuses or commissions, then we need the last 2 years total. So a W-2 won't do. We actually need to see the last pay stubs for December of the last 2 years, so that then we can average out the total amounts, because the pay stubs are the ones that break down the actual income received year to date. So, we would need that. But mostly is the last 30 days. When I see those pay stubs, then I'll ask them for whatever's needed, because I will know, the lender would know what else to ask from them. We need to see the last 2 years W-2s. If they're self-employed, we need to see the last 2 years taxes. If they've been self-employed for more than 5 years, we only need 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So repeat that again for me. If they've
been self-employed for the last 5 years and they can prove it, with a CPA letter, 1099s, there's other ways. So just, what your taxes, it'll show the incorporation of the company, stuff like that'll show. Then we just need 1 year's worth of taxes, which is great, because then we don't have to average out the low year prior,
Right.
If that's the case, specifically. So, but on average, we would need the last 2 years taxes. And then I believe I said bank statements, and then we have to run credit. Obviously, we need an application. We got to run credit, and that's it. That's
bother
really
submitting the Credit Karma to your MLO.
No.
Don't
Yeah, and I can't do anything with that. I need to run the credit in order for me to see if there are any chances to improve the person's credit score. I need to run the credit in order for me to see what liabilities they have that they haven't accounted for, because, there could be small collections, or maybe they think because they don't have a monthly payment on their student loans that we don't account for a monthly payment on the student loans. We do. We have a percentage we have to account for depending on which program we use. So it is important that we run the credit. What I tell most consumers is, listen, the worst thing that could happen is that I give you an actual plan that you can go for, because right now you're blind. If I don't run your credit, you have absolutely no idea, and I can't guide you without it to how to move forward.
Which brings me to step one. Like I said, if someone comes to you and has absolutely no idea what their financial snapshot is, get them in front of your lender. Get them in front of an MLO, get them in front of your trusted partner, because they're going to be able to guide them. You might go waste time. I actually know of plenty of realtors that go and waste time, people who are not pre-approved.
Yeah. And I don't trust what they tell me with income either, because we look at income in so many different ways. We calculate it in different ways, that they just don't know. They don't know what averages we use. They don't know what we can add to your income if you're self-employed in order to make it look better,
What programs there are out there that they might qualify for and they know nothing about.
Exactly. So there's so many different ways to go about this to help your customers. So.
Absolutely. Beautiful information. Thank you so much, Jen. I'm just going to open it up and see if anybody has any questions for either Jen or myself about the process, speaking to your buyers, guiding your buyers, anything at all. If not, I'm going to let Jen go. All right, guys. All right, that's it. Jen, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate all of the information you've given us. I'm sure everybody else does too. I think we can all walk away a little more motivated and go talk to some buyers. And don't forget, do not forget your buyers this summer. Keep them on those drip campaigns. Summer is a huge time for relocation. Lots of changes happen within work. During the summer, people get reassigned and they don't even know it's coming. I work very closely with an Air Force base here close by to my house. I'm only about 25 minutes away from it. So I know that there's a lot of movement coming in the summer. So, just keep abreast of all of the programs that they might qualify for. And again, make sure you have a trusted partner in the finance industry. And if anything, reach out to Jen, Jennyffer Kurz.
I'm always here.
Go
happy to
ahead,
help.
plug yourself.
Well, I'm going to put it on the chat as well, but my phone number is 305-401-2778. And my email is jkurz, that's KURZ, at PRMG.net. So jkurz@PRMG.net.
There you go.
And
Thank you,
yep,
Michael.
oh, thanks, Michael. Michael's quick.
Oh, look, my Alexa thought we were talking to her. All right, everyone, have a great week. And of course, you know my email, rosiesalesmiami@gmail.com, if you've got any questions. And I'd be more than happy to send you any of the bullets, as always, via email. All right, if anyone wasn't taking notes. Okay, guys, have a great one. Thank you again, Jen.
Have a good one.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Rosie.
it.